Hello, it's me, Justice D. Deville, and welcome to another episode of Let the Money Talk. In today's episode, I am actually going to be talking about mental health. We're going to dive into different diagnosis, tests available, basically support groups, medication, and costs. If your company offers anything free regarding mental health, I suggest taking advantage of that because some diagnosis they can be costly, especially if you're going and seeing somebody who specializes in this field. If you prescribed medication for it, that could become costly too. So we are going to discuss a bunch of different things involving mental health. So let's dive in. Now, to give you an idea of different testings that they do regarding mental health, there is quick assessments on depression, psychosis, if you're suffering PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, if you have an addiction, if you're bipolar, suffering anxiety, eating disorders, even stuff work-related, work health surveys. How healthy is your workplace? There are various different things. I've actually done some of these assessments that were available. I do suffer mild depression. At least that's what my test told me. Don't need medication for that, but I am being told support groups will help. Talk to people. Because every now and then I do hear things or see things that basically nobody else has seen or heard. Things that aren't there. I did test positive for mild psychosis. So something in my brain is not wired completely right. My family will tell you that's been the case since birth, but I've taken some of these other tests. I'm not bipolar. Go figure. No addictions, surprisingly. As much wine as I drink, no addiction. The PTSD, there was nothing there. Anxiety, I do suffer mild anxiety also, which is kind of weird because I don't really fluster that much with that, I guess you could say. If I am suffering from that, it's something I don't realize. But a lot of these, even testing positive, depending on how severe, a lot of these, they do say, try the support groups, talking to people, even if you have to see a therapist, talk to a therapist. Basically, a lot of these, mild end and lower can be worked out through just talking. Other ones do require medication if you're at a higher level. The other thing is, like I said, the work health survey that will actually dive into your workplace. Are you actually working in a healthy environment, or is it an environment that's contributing to what's going on? Anyhow, we're going to get a little more into some things like support groups, like I said, who you can talk to. I'm sure there's groups on social media between Facebook, Twitter, etc. So we're going to try to get some names of groups, possibly. There are medications. We're going to dive into some of the medications that are available for mental health and what they could cost, how much it could be to see a therapist, specialist, etc. We will dive a little further into this, but there's some of the assessments to begin with. Depending on what you are actually suffering from, between direct costs, indirect costs, physical health, medicine, etc. Mental health, to take care of it, you're talking an average at minimum of about $287 a month. That can add up over a year if you're going at least once a month. Depending on exactly what is wrong, like basically, if you went for treatment for schizophrenia, they are saying basically an 11-day stay for getting that treatment would be about $8,500 or more. Other things like basically bipolar disorder, depending on the severity, treatment, etc. Even if you went for 10 days of treatment, almost $8,000. These costs are expensive because they do include the specialist, medications, etc. Some of these you actually have to go and stay at. So like with drug facilities. So there are other costs involved. So basically, depending on the state of your mental health, exactly what's wrong, overall package, you're talking anywhere from about close to $300 a month to up to $10,000. And that is total cost, not just a stay here or seeing a specialist or medications, which I am going to dive a little more into because I want to see what some actual costs are for therapists. I want to see what some actual costs are for medication that they would prescribe. Give you a little bit of a total overview of anything and everything involving mental health. Okay, here's some interesting things I have found out when you're getting into these specialists for some of these. A basic counselor, the cost per session can be anywhere from $20 to $80 per session. Let's see, if you were to see a psychologist, that could be anywhere from $70 to $150 per session. An actual psychiatrist, $100 to $200 per session. These are average costs. These are not specific. You know, you wanted specifics, you're going to have to look up the actual person you are going to see, their office, their costs. These are national averages of what people would pay. If you went to see a psychotherapist, anywhere from $100 to $300 per session. And could you imagine how costly that's going to be if it's one session per week? Even say 2 sessions per month. You know, you had to go to 2 sessions per month. You know, for a psychotherapist, you're already talking $600 for that month. That's not including medications, anything else. That is just the basic session costs. Basically, you know, that's included in some of those prices I gave before with the stays. Like I said, mental health, it's not cheap. So if you can find the free programs, take advantage of them. Definitely take advantage. They will be helpful in the long run, because nothing is cheap anymore. And prices are constantly going upward. So take advantage. And here we go. Even diving into prescription medications. If something's prescribed for you for treatment, depending on your mental health disorder, and this is regardless of insurance coverage. You know, so take insurance out of the equation. Like, you're going through insurance. Depending on what type of medication you need, can be anywhere from $15 to $100 a month or more, depending on the medication you need. And not only that, Drug prices, those are one of the things that are always going up. One of the things that need to be worked on. I mean, let's give a vaccine to everybody for free, but things that actually are really needed to survive, let's jack up the price to cover costs. But anyhow, there you have it. Some of the costs. Now I'm going to look up and see what kind of support groups are out there. Hopefully everybody finds some of this information useful, important. Once again, do your own digging and diving and find out. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look things up and find out for yourself. And then there's the support groups. People have asked what type of support groups are there. There's grief counseling, medical support, weight loss, definitely other ones for mental health and illness, family support, ones for life transitions, addiction. There are different types of support groups. Let's see. That there are many types. Let's see if we can find ones for mental health, and we'll dive a little more into that and see exactly what's out there. I'm sure there are programs in many different areas. There's online, social media. I'm sure has some, but those you're at the risk of whatever social media has. And we all know how social media goes. But anyway, I'm going to try and dive in and see what else I can find with support groups and give you a heads up. Okay, we're going to go even a little further. Like some people have asked, what's the purpose of a support group? Well, it gives the opportunity for people to share their experiences, their feelings, come up with some coping strategies, get information on treatments, all kinds of stuff with that. Let's see, what else is there? They're saying like even online support groups, they could be effective in a therapeutic way to coincide with maybe counseling services. Let's see, what else can we find on here? See, there are 4 different types of social support: emotional, instrumental, informational, and appraisal. Appraisal is good for self-evaluation. Informational, self-explanatory. Instrumental is an actual aid or service, and emotional is, expressions, feelings, etc. There are many different types. Some of the disadvantages when you're in especially online groups, people tend to feel less accountable for what they're saying, what they're doing. Especially with group therapy, could make you feel uncomfortable, no trust. Clash between some personalities who are there. That there are different disadvantages also. Let's see if I can find some other info for everybody. Basically, the main benefits for being in a support group is help break everything down, break it into parts and steps. Everybody's there to try and get better in some form or another. Find ways of planning and managing your time. Understanding whatever everybody's going through, not just yourself. A total understanding through discussion, explanations, and maybe the answer is within it. Talking it out. Groups, you get some feedback, how you're doing performance wise, maybe challenge any assumptions that come up in the group, develops stronger communication skills, etc. There's many benefits and some disadvantages to any support group. Let's see. Oh, here's a good question. Which one is most cost effective? Well, we know anything that's free, online, etc. That would be cost effective. It's not going to be the most useful because you are, like I said, susceptible to whatever the free program is. There are all types of groups out there. There's ones for the emotional support, anxiety, you name it. Like basically anything and everything I discussed earlier in this video, there is some kind of support group out there for, whether it's professional, programs offered maybe by your community, state, etc., the online, and if you are seeing a specialist for it, they can make some suggestions. Some of them, I'm sure, do have a cost to it. Other ones maybe are included with your therapy costs. Who knows? There are a variety out there. Plenty of help and support groups out there. Basically, you can even do a quick Google search, whatever platform you use to search, and I'm sure things will come up. Everything for therapists, counselors, support groups, etc. Just do a general search, and you can find a lot of info. So that's been this episode of Let the Money Talk, dealing with mental health. Hope you found some info useful. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions, concerns, all that, research. Do your research and find out what's best for you. Because mental health, it's nothing to take lightly. It's no joke. There are a lot of people out there who do have issues. Some that know it, some that don't. But definitely do not take your mental health for granted, because it could lead to other problems later on down the line. Like I said, anyhow, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoy. Have a good night.